Let's get more now on that. First, head-to-head debate between the two remaining candidates who want to be the next Conservative Party leader and UK Prime Minister, which will take place tonight on BBC One. Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss will face questions from audience members in Stoke-on-Trent who've previously voted Conservative. Let's speak now to two young Conservatives, Jess Insall, 20-year-old accountant and Rishi Sunak supporter, and Andy Wilkins, 22-year-old media graduate who supports Liz Truss. Really good to have you both with us. Jess, let's start with you. Why are you supporting Rishi Sunak?
I support Rishi Sunak because I really believe in his economic vision. I think he's really honest with us that now is not the right time for tax cuts. I think at a time of inflation, the number one priority should be tackling that. And actually, as much as we'd love a tax cut, as a Conservative, obviously I would love a tax cut. I love that he's been honest and said now is not the time, and the best way to get more money in people's pockets is to tackle inflation.
Now is not the time to have tax cuts, Andy Wilkins, but your candidate, your preferred candidate, Liz Truss, disagrees. So why are you supporting her?
Well, primarily on the basis of that she's determined to cut national insurance. For example, she says that she's going to reverse the national insurance rise that we saw in April, alongside obviously tackling the cost of living crisis that we currently have. And that, for me right now, I feel very strongly that we can't just kick it down like a can in the road. We need to tackle it face first, head on right now, basically. So what she's offering in terms of policies for me is a no-brainer, basically, that she's committed to really tackling the cost of living crisis right now, whilst at the same time helping bog standard generic families in this current cost of living crisis and inflation problem, like crisis again, that we're seeing, that is no doubt causing a lot of havoc to lives up and down the country, basically.
It's very interesting that both of you are focusing on the economic policies of these two candidates. And I wondered, Jess, first of all, perhaps if I might ask you, are there any particular issues of concern to younger voters that you would like to see the two candidates address?
Economics, I think, for young people right now is the number one issue, because younger people are more likely to be on lower wages, maybe living by yourself, renting, buying your first house. And so the cost of living crisis is a really important issue. And I think especially even Liz Truss's own economists have said that her plans on taxation will mean that interest rates go up to 7%, which would cost the average mortgage payer £600 a month. And if that's not a cost of living crisis, then I don't know what is.
Andy, you're nodding that the economy is the issue that is most concerning young people. But I suppose my question would be that our debts are already costing more than £80 billion a year in interest payments. And it would appear that Liz Truss's policies will add to those debt payments. And ultimately, it will be your generation that's going to have to pay for it, isn't it?
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, we've got to tackle the issues face first right now. Our families suffering financial hardships at the moment because of the recent national insurance rises and the current inflation rises. Yes, they are. Are they struggling to? Are families having to sacrifice between heating, gas, or food, water bills, etc.? Yes, they are at the moment. So it's a case of tackling it face first, head on right now, basically, or otherwise we risk potential devastation. Not just, we need to be looking as well at vote winners, because one thing that we've lost over due to Boris was that we lost over 300 seats because of Boris. We now need to gain the trust back of the electorate with such fantastic policies like tax cuts, national insurance reverses, things like that will all go a long way into hoping, ideally we need to claw back a lot. Ideally, out the 300 seats we lost in May, we need to ideally try and get 100 of those back if possible next year. And we will only achieve that.
Local council seats there. I take what you say.
I know, but I'm saying though, we need to be looking at the national picture of the cost of living crisis, which in itself will be a popular policy, which will then in turn get us potentially 100+ seats back in the local elections come next year. That's what I'm trying to imply.
OK, I understood. Jess, Andy there talks about trust in the electorate, and this race for the leadership has been described as toxic. And I did wonder, just moving on a little bit, how concerned you are that this leadership challenge and the race and the way the candidates are talking to each other could do some sort of lasting long-term damage to the Conservative Party.
Yeah, no, I think that's a reasonable point. But I think anytime you have a leadership contest, anytime you have any sort of high-profile political event like this, it's right that there's a robust challenge, and that does come with some toxic briefings and it comes with some nasty bits. But actually, I think we have a really robust debate happening, and I think that's better than walking on eggshells. And the other thing that I definitely note is, at a grassroots level, almost every association, we all have friends who are supporting Liz and we all have friends who are supporting Rishi. And I don't think that hardship is, and the bad feelings are really coming down to the grassroots level. The campaigning that I've done, it's all felt very positive, and I've really enjoyed the campaign and not felt the toxic briefings at my level at all.
Andy, we haven't got much time, so I'm going to have to ask you to be brief, but I want to give you one more chance, if that's all right. Both candidates have been channeling Margaret Thatcher in their campaigns. I wondered, how much does that resonate with you, given that you weren't even alive when she was in power?
Ultimately, I do a bit of history, so therefore, I've read plenty of books about Margaret Thatcher, what she did, and the fact that also personal family experience. My grandparents bought under Margaret Thatcher's housing scheme, so therefore they have very high views of what Margaret Thatcher achieved. So, as a result, I don't see any real issues. My first female prime minister was Theresa May, so at the end of the day, it's better to not replicate what one prime minister did. Ultimately, you've got to be original in politics. That is what ultimately wins you votes. And by almost imitating Margaret Thatcher, it doesn't necessarily show that you're different and you're going to win votes on your own. If anything, it might just show, look, let's just impersonate what someone did. You know, that's how I see it anyway.
Sorry, we are short of time because it's been so interesting talking to you both.
Worries.
Andy Wilkins and Jess Insall, many thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.